This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
Hello, football fans, and welcome to The Onside Kick. My name is Rookie Widmer, and as always, I'm joined by the Mark Weber.
Dub them ease.
And Mark, last week we kind of began our journey to the beginning of the NFL season, starting our divisional previews. We're starting in the East. We're going to eventually head out west. We did the AFC East last week, so this week we got to complete our kind of Eastern divisional. We're going to do the NFC East this time. The Cowboys, the Philadelphia Eagles, everyone's favorite team, the Washington Redskins, and the New York Giants.
New York Football Giants, that's right. Yeah, it's, this is an interesting division because you just don't know what to expect. I mean, you do kind of figure Philadelphia is in the lead, but everybody else, it's kind of a big mystery of what do we get? And I put the Cowboys not in the Philadelphia Eagles section because of a big loss that we all remember being DeMarco Murray.
Well, and I was going to say, the big headlines for this division heading into the offseason. DeMarco goes from divisional rival Dallas to Philly. The Eagles go out there and say, you know what, Nick Foles, we don't need you. We are going to trade you away, take in Sam Bradford.
We got Sam Bradford.
The Giants, I would say the big headline about the Giants is this the year we say, oh, Coughlin's going to get fired, but then he doesn't and they win a Super Bowl? And then the Redskins,
they're there.
Is RG3 the guy? Is he going to be around anymore?
You just don't
what does
know.
Jay Gruden think?
And is Jay Gruden going to stick around, too? There's always that question as well. Yeah, I want to say, well, let's talk about a quarterback situation right now, because I think that's one of the big things. I know we got big Cowboys things to talk about as well.
We're gonna start off with the Cowboys, but let's get to your quarterback thing first.
Well, my quarterback thing was going to be with the Eagles, so do you want to wait till we talk about the Eagles to get with this and talk about Sam Bradford?
Let's do the Cowboys first, because this is the big thing in the news right now, is the Cowboys have a little bit of a contract dispute with their number one wide receiver.
Some would say really
Des
only
Bryant.
wide receiver.
Well, their only wide receiver in some people's eyes. But and you may be sitting there going, well, Ricky, I'm a Seattle fan, and we're feeling the same thing with Russell Wilson. The only difference between Des Bryant and Russell Wilson is, A, Russell Wilson isn't causing a big stink about not getting paid. 2, Russell Wilson hasn't said, it's okay, if you don't want to pay me, I'll just sit out game one.
Yeah. Russell Wilson, I think, still has some time on that contract, too.
This is contract year.
Yeah, okay, I guess that is true. Actually.
Similar situation to Dez, because Dez was supposed to be a free agent, got franchise tag, but still not signed to that tender.
That's what I'm saying. There is one more year. You don't need to franchise tag Russell Wilson. So it's a little bit of a difference.
But it's still technically a contract.
Yeah, but Des Bryant doesn't have a contract right now. He has a franchise tag, and he refuses to sign it. Understandably, he wants the security of the actual contract. He wants the commitment. Don't we all just want that commitment? But for Des Bryant, I'm sorry, you got no leverage. I never understand the holdouts, because what are you going to do, not play? Then you're not getting paid. And if you don't play long enough, what are you going to do, retire?
Well, and not just that, I mean, right now with all the OTA stuff, and there's been stuff in the news about teams canceling OTAs. At this point in the offseason, it's like, okay, fine, don't show up. It doesn't really matter, because there are veterans. Brett Favre used to do it all the time.
He used to take extended vacations.
He wouldn't even show up until actual preseason games were going on. And that's the thing for me. As soon as the actual preseason starts, maybe even, I would say maybe training camp, maybe
you might want to show up at some point.
That's when it's like, okay, Des, now you're hurting the team. Do you want to win a Super Bowl? Because usually it's not the teams that have great players that win Super Bowls. It's the teams that are great teams. They're actual teams. I mean, having great players helps.
Yeah.
But it's the actual teams that win championships.
For sure. And for this, I mean, you do miss out on some of that. This team for Des Bryant, I mean, he's he's not like a leader on the team.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be guys like Jason Witten, Tony Romo. But he is an essential part.
He should be a leader on that team.
I wouldn't say he should. He doesn't have to be. He doesn't have to be a leader. They have leaders already.
Jay Cutler syndrome.
Well, I mean, you can't just choose who should be a leader in your eyes. The team has their own locker room.
Let me put it this way. He should be a leader, at least in that wide receiver core. Sure. If I'm one of the rookie wide receivers coming in, or the young guns, I'm saying, well, I'm not going to listen to this guy because where were you?
Yeah.
Where were you in the offseason? Where were you when we were actually becoming a team for those young guys?
Till he shows up and starts getting all those catches. Then they're like, oh, okay, you're good, man. But it's...
I hate players who are like, I hate the players that are all about themselves.
Oh, for sure.
I hate the ones that are like I get it, okay? I get it. You want your money. We all want to get paid. No matter what job we're in, what career we're in. The bottom line is we want to get paid. It's as simple as that. However, there are better ways to go around it. And the one thing I can't help but think about is, okay, Jerry Jones, you have this guy who you can look at this and say, okay, bad locker room guy. Well, let's look at your draft class. You signed numerous guys, Randy Gregory and La'el Collins being two of them, that are bad locker room guys in their coach's mind. In Collins' situation, his coach, Les Miles at LSU, said to scouts, I'm not going to talk to you about these guys. They're bad locker room guys. I don't want to talk about them. He had a list of them on his window. Collins was one of them. Randy Gregory was a guy that people passed on in the draft because they thought he would be a bad locker room guy.
Now I think that was more because of his that's not locker room issues. That was outside of the field issues.
Okay, bad locker room, off the field issues.
Yeah.
And now you have this. And if I'm a Cowboys fan, I'm thinking, come on, Jerry, get your team together.
If I'm a Cowboys fan, I'm sitting there thinking, I think we made the wrong choice. We had a choice between Des Bryant and DeMarco Murray. There's more to it than that. But essentially, those were your two choices. You were only going to pay one of these guys. Des Bryant was the choice. Now you're sitting there going, but Des Bryant wants too much money for his actual contract.
Because I feel like, okay.
And we got Derek McFadden out here.
Yeah, Run DMC.
Yeah, and that's not getting me as much confidence.
Their running backs are Run DMC. You have
I think I said Derek. I meant Darren.
Yeah, Darren McFadden. You have Lance Dunbar. And then the only other guy that has been on the team, I don't think Dunbar was there last year, but you have Joseph Randall too.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, Dunbar was there. So you have Dunbar and Randall still. You add Run DMC. Assuming something goes wrong, Run DMC's the guy.
Yeah, for sure. But like I said, not too much confidence in this running back situation here. It's interesting. It's just this Cowboys team, which, like I said on past podcasts, last year was the year. If they were going to win a Super Bowl, it was going to be last year.
And let's be honest, they probably should have made it one more game than they should because that was a catch by Des Bryant. Let's be honest, he did catch the ball. That should have been a catch by Des Bryant. They should have beat the Packers and moved on. Let's put that out there.
That was the Lions, right?
No, it was. I want to say it was. I'm gonna look it up. I want to swear it was the Packers.
I don't really. It was a mess and a disaster. But that's basically what it happens. And I don't know those whole catching rules. No, we can have a whole podcast about those
because that was a different one. They beat the Lions the week before on a ref controversy.
Yes.
And then the next week they lost to the Packers.
That's right. Of course.
On the catch that Des Bryant did make the catch.
I would believe that sounds right. I would believe that sounds right.
Yeah, because they lost in Green Bay 26-21. Should have won, then should have lost to the Seahawks. Let's be honest. Should have lost to the Seahawks. Well,
actually, I thought they had a good chance against Seattle.
Okay, didn't they beat Seattle last season in Seattle?
They very well may have.
I'm going to look it up.
But, I thought they were one of the few teams that actually would have a good ability to beat. Because
I want to say they
had that solid. It basically came down to the running game.
They walked into Seattle last year.
That was an early season game, right?
It was a week 6 game. They walked into Seattle. DeMarco Murray had his 6th straight 100-yard game, and they ended up beating Seattle 30-23.
Yeah, that
That was a great game to watch, too.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for the Cowboys. Like I said, if they were going to win, it was going to be last year. They don't have the perfect setup anymore. Tony Romo's just 1 year older. Des Bryant's got his off-the-field issues, which I'm assuming are going to be fine. Once it gets to August, I think everything's okay.
You think he'll sign the tender?
And he's back.
Here,
he's
going to
play.
Let's put it this way. Before the season starts, are you putting a higher percentage on Des Bryant signing his tender or having a long-term deal?
As it stands right now,
because I'm putting it on the tender.
I'm actually going to agree with you on that. I think he's more likely to get it because Jerry Jones has nothing. He doesn't have to budge. He has all the leverage.
He can sign the tender. He can say, "Hey, either sign the tender or don't play."
Yeah,
because in Jerry Jones's mind, well, if Dez doesn't play and we lose, it's a higher draft pick.
Because exactly. And then
I think Jerry Jones is not a guy that cares much about losing as long as he's got a high draft pick.
I think he's. I don't want to put it that way, but that is an okay way to put it. I think he's very
owner.
He's forward minded.
Yeah,
he's thinking of the future
all the time. Yeah, he's never thinking about the current season.
Yeah, for sure. And I think for him, he doesn't care about that. If Des Bryant is the reason they lose, it's not the blame is not on Jerry Jones. It's on Des Bryant in that situation.
He's also a creepy old man. Let's put it that way too.
Yeah, he is. But yeah, so for the Cowboys, I mean that's a big issue. I think I would have said I think you should have gone probably with DeMarco Murray, but Des Bryant was probably the smarter option. Not necessarily smarter. It made more sense to go with Des Bryant. Now you're sitting here going, hindsight. You know, like you're sitting back here thinking, we really should have gone with DeMarco Murray. It's unfortunate, and you're going to see him twice a year. Possibly a third time if you get to the playoffs. And I don't know. It's not going well. Dallas Cowboys, they're not going to have a bad season. Even if Des Bryant, for some reason, doesn't play any games next season, that's not going to happen. But if it did, I still think they would play fine. You know, Cole Beasley and Terrence Williams, they're not scrubs. You know, you got Jason Witten out there still. So you'll be okay. You're just probably not going to dominate like you did last season, or maybe even not get to the playoffs.
Let's get to your Eagles question now with the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
That you wanted to talk about.
So Sam Bradford. Does anybody sit here and think Sam Bradford is a better option than Nick Foles? Obviously, Chip Kelly does. I have not found anyone else that has sat there and said, yes, that was the correct move. I can't find anybody.
Here's the biggest thing. You traded... Here's the two biggest things with it, because I feel like the LaShawn McCoy trade also goes into this. You make the trade sending LaShawn McCoy to the Bills, and I want to say Kiko Alonso was who you got in that deal. He was an ex-Oregon Duck. No brainer why Chip Kelly would trade for him.
He's a good player.
He's a guy who has had ACL injuries, just coming off of an ACL injury. So fans are sitting there. I've seen some of the fans on YouTube voice their opinion saying, why would you trade our number one rusher over to the Bills for a guy with ACL injuries?
Yeah.
You get DeMarco Murray. Okay. We may not need LaShawn McCoy because we got DeMarco. But then you go ahead and take Nick Foles, who he's had his injury past as well, or injury history, I should say. But then you trade for a quarterback who's had ACL injuries.
Who's had worse injuries.
And he's coming off of an ACL injury.
Yeah.
And these are two guys that, I mean, Adrian Peterson kind of set a standard for ACL injuries. But let's be honest. Everybody's body is different. Everyone recovers differently. Not everyone's AP.
Yeah, and no one else is going to do that, basically is what it comes down to.
I mean, and AP did it at the hardest, I would say the hardest position to do it, at the running back position.
Well, I think the problem for Sam Bradford is that you look at him and he's never come back and not gotten hurt. And he had that great rookie season. Well, I don't necessarily want to say great. He had a very good rookie season.
He's a good,
he's a good quarterback, but he can't stay healthy.
If he could stay healthy, he'd be a decent quarterback.
We got to be fair. This is the same thing that we said about Matt Stafford for so long, that if he would stay healthy, he'd be great, and he's stayed healthy for years now. So maybe this is all Sam Bradford needs.
But the good thing about Sam Bradford, maybe he just needs a change of scenery.
It's possible.
Where it's just like, hey, you know what? And that trade, I remember we talked about it on a podcast, and to this day, it kind of baffled me why that trade happened, because Nick Foles isn't a bad guy.
No.
He's not a bad guy to have.
I still stand by that. I'm still waiting for the moment here. I'm waiting for Chip Kelly's
You said
plan to come to fruition here. And I don't know. We got to look at, of course, with Sam Bradford, they have Mark Sanchez and Barkley back there, and Tebow. Tebow, we can assume, is going to be gone sometime in the near future once they start having to make cuts. Barkley and Sanchez, this is one of those situations where I will rarely argue that a team keep 3 quarterbacks because I don't trust Sam Bradford staying healthy. Mark Sanchez isn't that great. Matt Barkley's not that great. So you're going to be in a situation, I'm assuming, where one of these guys is playing and you might need to pull him and put the other guy in because he's not playing well. You don't want to go in there thinking that, but I think it's a good idea. Now, of course...
See, because and I'm going to cut you off really quick. I'm still, to me, I still try to think about why this trade was made, because the only thing I can see contract-wise that's different between Bradford to Foles is, well, first off, Nick Foles was making a lot less money than Bradford. They both have 1 year left, and then they're free agents in 2016, unrestricted that is. Foles was at about 1.522. Bradford's at about 12.985.
Yeah. And Sam Bradford's going to expect more money.
Well, okay, no. This is the way I'm thinking about it. Maybe Chip Kelly saw, well, if Nick Foles has a great season with us, we go far into the playoffs, we have to pay him more money.
Yeah.
Whereas Sam Bradford, either they don't do that well, even if he does good, they could have a better leverage to say, hey, you know what? We'll keep you at the same amount.
No, you can't.
Because with the injury history, unless he's going NFC Championship, I don't see Sam Bradford getting a huge pay raise. I mean, he already got that contract. He already got that second contract.
Well, if he gets injured, what I'm saying, if he gets injured, I think you have a good case of saying he stays in the same general area. But if he stays healthy this season and actually plays well, because he would have to play well to keep this job. Otherwise, he's going to lose it maybe to Mark Sanchez or to future quarterback X. Then he's going to get a pay bump. It's not going to be probably your Jay Cutler, your Ryan Tannehill. It's not going to be one of these huge deals or the eventual Russell Wilson deal. But he'll get a nice bump. Because the problem for the Eagles is they sit here with a quarterback already getting paid nice. And then having
his overall contract, and this is Bradford, is $78 million, 6 years.
Yeah.
Was the deal.
And the problem they have is that you come in to a situation where a guy who already has good money is looking at Ryan Tannehill, looks at Jay Cutler, looks at Andy Dalton, looks at all these guys who are arguably in his range.
Yeah, middle of the pack guys.
And they're getting paid big boy money. He's going to walk in and say, I want my big boy money too. And he's got a good case because it's market value. The problem for the Eagles, for me, is unless this is a throwaway season, it doesn't make sense to have Sam Bradford right now.
See, and that's the thing that confuses me, because on the other side with the Eagles, we've already had our Vince Young-like moment. If you're sitting there going, Ricky, what are you talking about? Vince Young, when I think it was on the Eagles.
Yeah, it was the Dream Team
Called
Eagles.
the team the Dream Team, and then they didn't do well.
Yep.
And then this offseason, Byron Maxwell has been to 2 straight Super Bowls with the Seattle Seahawks, comes over to the Eagles this offseason, says, you know what? I'm guaranteeing that I'm going to my 3rd straight Super Bowl. Basically guaranteeing a Super Bowl in Philly for 2015.
Now, he did kind of back down on that a little bit by saying, oh, you should just believe in whatever team you're in.
You know what?
He did back down a little bit.
You don't say that.
No, he shouldn't.
Especially at this point in the season. Because the NFL season's a long year. We were just talking about the Cowboys, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they finished 12-4. When they beat Seattle week 6 last year, they were a 5-1 team. And people were looking at that team going, hey, this could be a Super Bowl team. If they keep winning and winning, well, guess what? It didn't happen.
Yeah.
They lost in the second round of the playoffs. to Green Bay, who lost to Seattle. Seattle went back again, and Seattle didn't start last season off too well after going and winning a Super Bowl the year before. So with me, I would hate it if my player comes out and says, yeah, Super Bowl 2015.
But yeah, I would say too, I hate that, but I also hate then kind of backing down a little bit.
No, if you say it, you got to stand by your man.
You said it, you got to make it happen now. Congrats.
To quote the Blues Brothers, you got to stand by your man. That's what you got to do.
So I think here's the thing about the Philadelphia Eagles. I still stand by they're the best team in this division, even with the downgrading quarterback.
Because they got DeMarco.
DeMarco Murray changes the game. And Aguilar's a really good wide receiver, too, that they have. Mm-hmm. They have Selleck. They got Ertz. Both those are good wide receivers. Jordan Matthews, of course, is a good wide receiver as well. They got a lot of good options. Oh, and, of course, we can't forget about Riley Cooper. Guy came out of nowhere.
Yep.
So, of course, maybe not having Nick Foles is going to hurt him a bit. But anyways, they have so many good options. Sam Bradford doesn't have to play that well. I think that's kind of that's got to be Chip Kelly's plan.
Well, with Chip Kelly, I feel like he's trying to say, you know what, it doesn't matter. We don't need a star quarterback because it's more about the system, not the quarterback.
Which I also think is dumb because you got the number 1 overall pick a few years. What was that, like 5-6 years ago? Mm-hmm. So. I mean, I get it, because he has said that he doesn't want star players.
However, it's kind of the same thing when he was at Oregon, where besides Marcus Mariota this past year, and I know that wasn't with Chip Kelly, the quarterback for the Ducks wasn't the big name.
No.
It was the running back. It was the wide receiver. And
I mean, a lot of it was Chip Kelly, to be honest. It was his system. And I think that's what he wants to rebuild in Philadelphia. And that might make sense of why you get a guy like Sam Bradford. Doesn't make sense why you get a DeMarco Murray in that case. But, I mean, you got to have somebody who's good.
DeMarco Murray's going to be a powerhouse in that system.
It's scary. He's a number one. He's a number one in fantasy football.
The one thing that's different between him and I know Philadelphia Eagle fans right now are probably saying, but Ricky, we freaking had LaShawn McCoy. You did not have to go out and trade LaShawn and get DeMarco. You could just keep LaShawn McCoy. And I'm sitting there going, okay, well, the reason why I would have DeMarco over LaShawn is LaShawn's the kind of guy where I see him in that system where it's like run to the outside, screen to the outside. You're not going to put him 3 straight downs going right up the middle. DeMarco, you can put out on a screen. You can have him run to the outside. But DeMarco's a back where it's like, okay, we may put him in a shotgun formation right to the left of the quarterback, but Sam Bradford can just go, here you go, right up the middle, ground and pound. And that's the one thing he can do that LaShawn couldn't.
And I think that Darren Sproles and Ryan Matthews are going to do what LaShawn McCoy was able to do with a lot of that running to the outside, getting the screens. I think they'll do a great job with that. They definitely will. So I don't have a problem with that. The Eagles, they're just interesting because I can see it going one of two ways. I think that Chip Kelly either is a genius or he's a madman. And I think in this coming year and possibly next year are when we're going to really learn which one of those two he is. It's going to come down to it. I'm excited. I'm excited to find out.
Let's put it this way. Do you think, let's say, the Eagles don't make the playoffs this year again?
No, I think they're going to make the playoffs.
But I'm just saying, if they don't, do we hear the people of Philly calling for Chip Kelly's head?
If you go like 4 wins, Chip Kelly's out.
No. I'm saying, let's say you're at least a 9-win team, but you miss the playoffs.
Then he's still there.
Are we calling for... But no. But is the chatter starting to call for his head?
I think it's going to be, if that's the situation, I think it's going to be more of like a Sam Bradford situation of like, oh, that wasn't our guy. We need to get a real quarterback. I think that's what, if they miss the playoffs, I think the conversation is about the quarterback. I don't think it's about Chip Kelly because the situation will probably be Chip Kelly did everything he could. Sam Bradford just wasn't good enough, or Mark Sanchez wasn't good enough. We need to go into the draft and get a quarterback, or we need to be that team that picks up Jimmy Garoppolo because, not necessarily Jimmy Garoppolo himself, but somebody like that
in the draft,
the hot backup.
In the draft or in
No, I was saying
agency?
They could get someone for a draft or get the hot backup from free agency. I think that's the situation. And I mean, he's not going to be it. But
well, then this is a little off topic, but we'll put it in with the Eagles where Garoppolo could be a guy that a team like the Eagles may trade for if they're looking for someone, because he's going to play at least 4 games. Well, 4 games at the most.
But I don't think the Patriots have to know. They got to hang on to this guy with a death grip. They are not letting him go because he's too good. As it seems right now, he is too good to let go. Tom Brady's not going to be around for forever.
No, Tom Brady is not going to be around forever. But, I mean, the other teams in this division, we haven't talked about them yet. Giants or Redskins, who do you want to touch next?
I want to talk about the Giants.
Okay, go ahead. What do you want to talk about the Giants?
The thing I want to talk about the Giants, this team should be a lot better than they play. That's pretty much what it comes down to. Odell Beckham Jr., assuming the Madden curse doesn't get him injured, he's phenomenal. Ruben Randall's good. Victor Cruz is good. Eli Manning is good. We all know that, what's his name, Coughlin can coach you to a Super Bowl and get you to win. Why isn't this team good?
One of these years, they're not going to make the playoffs, and he's going to get fired, right?
You would assume. You would think
one of these years it's going to happen, right?
Eventually, I think at this point, he has to retire at some point. I think that's what it's going to come down to. And I actually think he will not get fired. I think he will be suggested to take a retirement, because he's an older guy. I think it'll be suggested to him that he retires rather than him being fired. But yeah, I mean, this team, I even forgot about Larry Donnell, of course, who impressed a lot of people.
Don't forget they got Odell Beckham coming back.
That if assuming the Madden curse doesn't, ruin him. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. They have so many solid options and key pieces. And the defense is kind of stepping back into form a little bit. So they got a little bit of a way to go there. But it just doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't make sense to me why this team is in the rut that they are in. Part of it, maybe people want to blame Eli Manning. Hasn't played as well as he can play. I don't know what it is, and it confuses me why this team is not better.
Well, and the one thing I will say that this is just a general observation. I know we'll get into depth more with our preview videos on the YouTube channel. The one thing that could bode well for the Giants this season, they got a Week 11 bye. I don't know about you. I feel like I say this every year, Mark, and I forget which kind of a guy you are. I don't know which kind of a bye you want. I want the later bye. I hate the Week 4 bye, the Week 5 bye. I want it at least. Perfect scenario would be the Week 9 bye, because then you get 8.
Yep.
However, maybe 9, 10, 11 is when I want my bye. I want most of my games before the bye.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with getting, if you can get the even split, that's great. But yeah, it just, I don't know. This team is interesting to me. I think Eric Flowers, of course, their first round pick this time is going to be great. Keep Eli Manning on his feet. So that'll be nice. I'm assuming he's going to protect the blind side of Eli Manning. I assume that.
I still look at this roster and I just go, it's kind of like what you said. The wide receivers, they're totally different than Dallas. Yeah. They got Odell. They got Ruben Randall, who's proven. They got Victor Cruz, that's proven. In the backfield, they do have Rashad Jennings. Williams helped them out huge last year.
Oh, of course.
They got Shane Vreen, proven talent from New England. They have guys that can play on offense. And, I mean, Eric Flowers right now listed on that left side all the way at the end at tackle. So maybe he can help prevent the blind side of Eli Manning, because Eli Manning's a righty.
Yep.
But I would be shocked if this team, they got to be better than they were last year. They got to be, to me, hope. An 8-win team, right? An 8-winner?
They should be. I think they, just based on what we have on paper, they should be above 500. They should be 9 wins. I don't see why it doesn't happen.
Because last year they were a 6-win team.
Yeah.
A 6-win team. And with me, this is how I feel. This is more of an entire divisional scope. This is how I kind of see things playing out in the East. The Eagles may be number 1. Dallas may be number 2. However, I might push them to 3 because of the running back situation. The Giants can jump up to 2 in the division with a strong offense. Redskins stay in the cellar.
Yeah, the Redskins definitely are going to stay down there for a while.
What kind of a fall would that be if the Dallas Cowboys went from 1 to 3?
It's almost unthinkable. It really is almost unthinkable. I think the Dallas Cowboys stay at number 2,
You think so?
Yeah.
See,
I don't
the big
think the
thing
New York
about
Giants
me is
climb
that
up that
run
much.
game, though. Like, I know, like, Run DMC, it's Run DMC. He hasn't been proven in a while. It's kind of like what MJD before he retired.
Yeah.
What he came to.
And I just don't think that the New York Giants really are going to be the answer because
I'm saying solid number 2.
I don't know if I think that the New York Giants have to eventually, get Tom Coughlin fired and maybe Eli Manning kicked out. I don't know if that's what I'm waiting for, but I just every year come in thinking the New York Giants, they just don't make sense because they should be better, but they never play at their potential. I think that's what it really comes down to. They don't play at the potential. And I think when it comes to those head-to-head matchups, Dallas versus New York, I'm taking Dallas no matter what.
Hey,
New York versus Washington, I'll even split it.
Let's put it this way, and this could go into, this is what we talked about earlier. Let's say the unthinkable happens. Dez doesn't play game 1.
Yeah.
That swings the pendulum
of course.
into New York's favor. And, I mean, if you're Dallas and you lose that first game against the Giants to open the year, usually I would say history says whoever wins that first game is the better team that year.
Quite often.
Because they usually play beginning of the season. It's usually a primetime game because, it's Giants-Cowboys.
Yeah.
And they've usually been, until the Eagles started to pick things up with Chip Kelly, they were the 2 top dogs for a while, especially when the Giants were winning some Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Over the New England Patriots.
The problem for the New York Giants, in our podcast previews, we don't talk about schedule too much.
No, that we're going to save those for the individual
I will
videos.
say they don't have too many easy games. The New York Giants do not have very many easy games.
The entire division doesn't have too many easy games.
No, but I mean, in that situation, I think it hurts New York more than it hurts Dallas. I believe so, because I still think Dallas is a good team. Not that New York's a bad team. They just don't play.
Here's going to be the big thing, and I know I'm harping on this, but it's because I'm an offensive guy. That's who I am. That's where my mind goes. The big weak link for Dallas is going to be that run game. The Giants have 3 guys in that backfield where they can figure it out with one of them. I don't know if the Cowboys have that.
Yeah.
Dunbar, to me, I would put him at 3. I'd put Randall at 2. And you're just hoping that Run DMC can be the Run DMC of old.
I do want to, of course, something we do need to mention with the Giants. Of course, Jason Pierre-Paul, JPP, also not signing his deal right now. Now he's getting tendered to, hasn't signed his franchise deal. So I am less concerned about him signing it than I would be Dez Bryant. Dez Bryant, I'm more concerned about Dez Bryant than I am JPP. JPP is going to play. He's a great guy on the team. He's a good locker room presence and everything. That's not a problem. But you still do have a guy who's not showing up. It does make you a little nervous.
Yeah, and I mean, the big thing that why I didn't even bring it up is because to me, it's not that same caliber as Dez Bryant.
JPP is a very important part to that defense, though.
Yeah, but I mean, let's talk on a national standpoint. This is only huge if you're a Giant. If you are, let's say, a Bears fan, and you're listening to the Onside Kick because you check us out every week. First off, thank you for checking us out every week.
Yep.
But you're not really focused on a JPP. But Dez Bryant, you are because of that national spotlight. Yeah. However, like you said, the Giants' defense is kind of a question mark. They need him. They need Jason Pierre-Paul.
Exactly.
Especially to rush the quarterback. Rush Sam Bradford. Get them weak knees. Get Tony Romo on his back.
Yeah.
A past injured quarterback in your division. Robert Griffin. I almost said Russell Griffin.
Actually, really, Griffin. All these quarterbacks in this division have had injury issues at one time.
Tony Romo is not the one where we're questioning it. Where we're saying, okay, he's had injuries and we're doing that kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. The last thing, of course, I want to say about these New York Football Giants. Really, I think we should put a percentage on it. What is the percentage next season Tom Coughlin is not coaching the New York Football Giants? Yes, because he's coaching this season, obviously.
Firing or retiring?
Either or.
I'm going to say 40% he's back, 40% he retires, 20% he's fired.
I'm going to say 0% fired. I'm going to say 60% strongly suggested that he retires.
Because if they win a Super Bowl, he'll retire. That's what I feel.
For sure. I think if they have another bad season, there's going to be a sit-down meeting where they say, it's been a good...
They push him out.
It's been a good career, hasn't it, Tom?
Hey, Tom.
It's been a very good career.
Hey, Tom, we don't want to fire you, but we want to fire you kind of a thing.
Yeah, it's going to be, you've had a great career. New York loves you. Yep. It's been great. So you think about that retirement? You think about that? Maybe...
they start pushing the severance package towards them.
We got a good severance pack, just in case you're interested. Just in case you're interested. But if you were, what kind of, they're going to really suggest that. I think, I would say, I don't know what, I'll put it at like 40% that he stays. But I really think if they have a bad season, which I don't think they're going to have a great season, I think they're at or below 500. I think he's kind of pushed out. And it's not going to surprise me when that happens.
I'm going to ask you this question.
Mm-hmm.
Chances the Redskins get out of the cellar?
0.
0? They're going to be last in the division again?
I don't believe in Gruden. I don't believe in RG3. I don't believe in Kirk Cousins. I don't believe in any of them. The one thing they got good going... Well, they got two good things going on. Alfred Morris, Deshaun Jackson. That's what they got going on. And that's the only things about the Redskins team that I really like. I mean, there's other things that I'm like, okay, that's pretty good too. They of course do have Stephen Paya. Mm-hmm. I'm a Chicago Bears fan. I love him.
And they do have a nice linebacker in Ryan Kerrigan.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Fantastic. There are good things on this team. I'm underselling them a little bit, but there's nothing on here that makes me excited.
But you have good reason to.
Yeah, there's good reason why I'm underselling them. Exactly. I just think this team, unfortunately, is going to be drafting another quarterback sometime soon. And I think it'll probably be with a new head coach. And there's really, you look at their quarterback roster, Colt McCoy, Kirk Cousins, Robert Griffin III. I don't think any of them are here next year or in 2 years.
Kirk Cousins was the All-American, by the way.
Yeah.
Was supposed to be the Russell Wilson, maybe Russell Wilson-esque guy where, hey, let's get him low, and if he's really good, we hit the jackpot.
Or you trade bait him. Mm-hmm. That was a situation
because that was the Russell.
That's like a Matt Flynn situation. Because Jimmy Garoppolo could be dangled like that.
Because Kurt and Griffin were in the same draft.
Both in the third round, yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, Griffin was first round. I said Griffin.
Oh, you said Griffin. Yeah. Okay, they're talking about
Griffin and Cousins were the same draft because they went second overall with Griffin, then third round they went Cousins.
Exactly. So there's just, I don't know, this team. I think they have potential to do a little bit better than last year, but I don't think more than like one game.
If I'm Robert Griffin, this is the year. This is the do or die kind of a season because we saw what you can do when you're healthy. When you're healthy, you're a really good quarterback. And even last year, you had over 3,000 passing yards, 16 touchdowns. However, you went from 5 interceptions to 12 interceptions.
Yeah.
And
not horrible, but not the direction you want to go in.
Not horrible, but however, that was 13. Last season in 14, though, you only play 9 games. Yeah, you had about 1,600 passing yards, but only 4 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. Mm-hmm. And I get it. You're trying to transition yourself from a runner. We've seen your rushing yards go down each year. However, you are a guy kind of like a Cam Newton, where your biggest strength is mobility in the pocket.
Yeah.
You don't have to run out there and sacrifice your body. But I feel like in order to be good, Robert Griffin needs to be that guy. Hey, I can escape pressure, throw on the run. Maybe like Jay Cutler.
Yeah, for sure. And I think Brandon Sheriff helps out a lot in this. That's a big addition to the
and that was a huge question mark pick because when they made that pick, I was like, offensive tackle?
Yeah, it didn't make sense, especially when, you had other options there, obviously.
And they could have went offensive tackle in the second round.
Yeah. But moving away from the draft when we're not thinking about other picks, it is a solid option. It's a great option to have on the line.
Well, you gotta protect your asset.
Yeah, here's the thing here's the issue I see for RG3 coming into this season. He's going to play Ryan Tannehill. He's going to play
Ryan Tannehill to start the season.
Yeah, he's going to play Nick Foles, who just got traded. He's going to play
Sam Bradford twice.
Of course.
Romo twice. Eli
new quarterback, Jameis Winston. He gets to play him. He's going to play a lot of these young quarterbacks who have also been drafted. So where I think if they look good and he looks bad, that gets the fans talking. That gets your front office talking of,
if they
hey,
lose
we
to
made a
Tampa,
bad choice.
If you don't want
even of course, Cam Newton's
you
want to
know, you want to know their most important game of the season?
What's that?
Week 6 at New York. If he loses to Geno,
he can't lose to Geno.
If he loses to Geno, that's when people start saying, really, Geno?
I'm pretty sure actually they introduced a new rule in the NFL that if you are a quarterback who loses to Geno Smith, you automatically are forced to retire. I'm pretty sure that rule is in place for the first time this year. But I just think, this is kind of a whatever comment, but I just think he's facing a lot of young quarterbacks who've also been drafted.
And this is going to be his 4th year in the league.
So exactly. If you're looking bad and they're looking good, that doesn't look good for you. There's going to be talk about, hey, these guys are doing something right. You're doing something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that's going to be an interesting storyline that happens. Maybe it won't even get picked up. Maybe people won't even notice. But I think it's hard not to notice.
However, I will say, good thing for the Redskins, they got that Week 8 bye.
Yeah, that's a good bye to have.
So, you got set. It's not perfect right in the middle, but
it's nice.
As close as you can get.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I think Deshaun Jackson, of course, and Robert Griffin III can do good things together. Pierre Garçon's always there. That's good. With Alfred Morris, I like Alfred Morris quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm happy with that. Brandon Sheriff. So they have good things going on. I don't know if I put them. They won 4 games last year. I don't know if I put them above 5 wins this year. I don't think they get too much.
Last thing we're going to talk about in this podcast. How many of these teams make the playoffs? And who?
The Philadelphia Eagles will be there. The Dallas Cowboys have an opportunity to get the wild card. I don't know 100% in my head if I think they will get it, but I think they are a front runner for the wild card spot.
You know me and my bold predictions.
I do. You're about to predict the Super Bowl winner, I think.
No. Well, close. The division winner, this isn't the bold part, will be the Eagles. They've just got the better run game.
For sure.
DeMarco Murray. I think Sam Bradford will do enough in Chip Kelly's system. Defense will hold steady. They'll win the division. Here's the bold prediction. Kind of like what I said last week with the Miami Dolphins, where the Patriots would win the division. Dolphins would get the 6th seed. Giants are going to get the 6th seed. Reason being, the offense is going to stand tough. JPP is going to sign his franchise tag, and he's going to have a contract season for the decade, for the career. He just goes off because it's that contract year. Defense stands tall. They get the 6th seed. They just get into the playoffs. Do they get the Super Bowl? Well, anything's possible when the Giants make the playoffs.
Oh, for sure.
But I'm not saying they're going to win the Super Bowl. They will get into the playoffs as the wild card. Dallas, they miss the playoffs by 1 game because they lose to New York week 1.
Oof, that's rough. Fortunately for the Cowboys, week 17, they're playing the Redskins. So they're probably not going to have that old tradition of losing week 17 to a division, losing the division in week 17.
Yeah.
That they used to do. I don't know. I think the only other thing I want to throw out here, I think looking at this division, we got a possibility
of 3 teams in the playoffs?
No, well, 3 is the magic number, but I'm not talking about teams in the playoffs. I'm talking about 3 new quarterbacks next season. We have a possibility of that, of 3 new quarterbacks.
You're talking about with the Redskins, the Giants, and the Eagles?
Yep. Because if RG3 doesn't
Tony
play well,
Romo's
he's
not
gone.
Getting replaced.
The only reason if Tony Romo retires, he is 31, I believe.
He ain't gonna retire.
Yeah, there's no reason for him to retire yet. But if he were, I think Sam Bradford, I don't believe in him. It's not that I don't believe in Eli Manning, but I think if he has yet another bad season, and if Tom Coughlin gets kicked out because he, gracefully retires, then I think you might have a new guy coming in saying, you know what, I really would like my guy.
I'm going to say this about RG3. I'm going to stand by my word and say that this is the do or die season for him. And the reason why I say that is he's got 2016's his contract year. And if he doesn't do anything this year, the Redskins won't get rid of him. But maybe in the draft they go, hey, let's pick this guy up. He can sit behind Robert. Robert can have his last year to show us if he's really got it, while this guy behind him kind of Jimmy Garoppolo effect, but with RG3 instead of Tom Brady.
Yeah, I just sit there and what I always say with these situations.
That's a tricky situation that RG3's contract years he's done in 2 years, not this year.
Which is unfortunate for a team like that. You're not going to probably cut the guy.
No, you're going to let him play 2016.
I just wouldn't be surprised if the Redskins go get one of these younger quarterbacks here out of the draft, lets them compete. There's no way they don't have an open competition if they draft a quarterback, and that quarterback wins.
Yeah. Well, that could happen.
Yeah.
Especially with Washington. But that's going to do it for our NFC East preview for the 2015 season. I want to thank everyone for listening. If you like the podcast, go ahead, hit that like button. If you loved it, go ahead, hit the subscribe button. I want you guys to tell us down below what you think of the NFC East, who's going to make the playoffs, how are the Cowboys going to do, Eagles, Giants, Redskins. I want to hear from you guys, the fans of these teams. Tell us what we missed. Tell us what we should talk about. And therefore, next week, we're heading back to the AFC North as we continue our previews heading into the 2015 NFL season. I want to thank everyone for listening to this week's podcast. And as always, have a good day, everybody.
Thank you for listening to this MVP podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Most Valuable Pod for more great podcasts.